Hello, hello. Welcome to Wednesday. It's the Lunch and Learn. Everybody's slowly coming in. I love seeing these faces. Some of you with your screens on. Hey, Michael, or you're Sharon today. That's cool too. I like that.
I'll
Sharon,
fix that.
Sharon looks good as a man. I'll take that.
Oh, that's funny.
Ruby also looks good as Sharon too. I love that. I love those. They crack me up every week. You're hilarious. Okay. Hi, Gina. I'm just saying the one with the faces I can see for right now. Those of you that are comfortable, get your video. Maurice, Nelson, Miss Flo, Miss Nikea, put your videos on. At least let me see your beautiful faces. Hi. We got a good one for you guys today. Lunch and Learn. It's Wednesday, September 4th. You know, we've got this every single week. I've got a guest co-host today. So I'm going to go ahead and do that intro, get started, and then we'll open it up. As I slowly see folks entering, I'll let you all in. As you know, I record this. We'll put it on our YouTube channel. Michael, if you'll drop the link to the MPP University in the chat, that's actually where the recording will be. My bad, guys. In the Nonprofit Plug University, you can go there and get the recordings. We've got tons in there. There's over 200 people in there, nonprofit founders, leaders, managers, lots of cool resources. So join that. Let's see where we got everybody coming from today. Just drop it in the chat. Where are you from?
ATL, LA.
I know Long Beach is going to be heavy represented. What else we got? Okay, Compton. Very cool. Okay. Awesome. Okay, we got a good one for you guys today. Oh, Florida. That's right, Tiffany. Okay. Sandy and Palmdale. I love it. All right. Erica and Maurice representing Watts. Oh, before I dive in, my bad. I forgot you guys. I want to go over any wins, accomplishments, any milestones. I do have one announcement. If you are local in the Los Angeles area, September 28th, we'll have information to come, but on September 28th, we are doing a boxing clinic in Watts at one of the parks. It'll probably be the afternoon of the 28th of September. So if you're in the local Los Angeles area, keep an eye out for that for our Watts Boxing Clinic, put on by the nonprofit Clocked In. They'll be doing coaching for a couple hours for kids in Watts. So if you've got kids or if you want to come through, definitely put that on the calendar, September 28th in Watts. But I'll send out a flyer to everyone too. Anybody else have any wins, accomplishments, any upcoming cool things that you want to share? Hey, Misha. Anybody have anything that they want to share today?
Hi, Sharon. Dr. Sharon is Karen Gilmano. How are you?
Hey, Karen, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for sharing about the boxing clinic. But if you're in the Los Angeles area, we are having a 5K walk. We are a nonprofit that support children with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and it's all about community, fun, and sun. My website is www.hhdmd. I'll put in the link, and I also put in the link link to the walk. Thank you for letting me share.
Of course. Thank you, Karen. And if anybody's got stuff that's going on in any of your areas and you post on social media, tag the Nonprofit Plug, tag Power Legacy, and we'll repost it for you guys. So just let us know.
I've got something too.
Oh, go ahead. I don't even know where that voice was coming from.
It's me, Nikea, Dr. Sharon. How are you?
Yeah, your square didn't light up green, Nikea. Okay, let us
I don't
hear
know
it.
why I'm not lighting up. That's so strange. I don't even know where my photo is, but it's okay. So anyway, guys, if you're in the LA area, Long Beach, I'm having a networking and grief. It's a brunch celebrating health and growth. And so we're going to be networking, sharing a safe space as it relates to grief and as it relates to healing. So if you are grieving someone, anyone, definitely come out. It is for all genders, all grief, and it'll be September 28th as well from 12 to 4 at Long Beach City College.
Nice.
Awesome. Thanks, Nikea. All right, y'all. Today is fire. So what we're doing, this is kind of like a new thing. Oh, I saw Misha in the background go like this. Like, oh, she ready for this. I love that. So we are going to be doing more of like a Q&A kind of style today. Every once in a while, we want to give you guys an opportunity to ask us questions, to bring up challenges, things that are going really well for you that maybe another nonprofit would love to hear about. Today's primary focus, and I got this bomb-ass guest speaker here with me today, is going to be mostly on starting a nonprofit, or if you are a brand new, which a lot of you that I know on here are brand new. Nelson, I'm thinking you, like really just getting started. This is a great opportunity for you to get some tips, tricks, and techniques on what you should be focusing on with your brand new nonprofit, or if you're looking to start one. So I have got on here today Christi McDaniel. She's the CEO and founder of Power Legacy. She is a nonprofit consultant. She's out here with me dominating in California, and we are taking over the United States. So watch out for us, because the Power Plug is about to be a household name.
Hey, I love that. Thank you.
Christi, do a way better intro than I just did. Like, just give the people like that, brag on yourself, because
Okay.
and I'll brag on you too if you forget on some stuff. But bless us with some love. Tell us who you are, and then
Okay.
we can dive in and start answering some questions.
Yes. Hi, everyone. So happy to be here today. I get so excited about talking about anything nonprofit. I just start glowing. You probably already see that. I see my girl Jasmine is in here. Hey, Jasmine. So I'm Christi. I'm from the city of Compton. I always put that out there. I born and raised. I started this industry, or got into this industry, through my nonprofit, Children Striving Together. We are based in the city of Compton. We have been a nonprofit for 12 years as of March coming up. So we'll be going into 12 years. And we basically assist youth ages 5 through 18 through mentorship, tutoring, enrichment activities. Those are the three programmings that we like to utilize for our nonprofit. And then of course we do all of the other events, back to school giveaways, toy drives, all the fun stuff that people like to give away. Because of that nonprofit being started, because I knew nothing in the beginning but some books that I got from the library, and knew that I wanted to make a change, I started doing research, and I saw a lot of things that I needed help with, but it seemed like it was hard to find someone that can actually assist me, know what they're talking about, but give me everything at once, versus giving me pieces of what I need for a nonprofit. So because of that, I birthed the Power Legacy about 6 years later. So 2019, I was already helping individuals start their own nonprofits, but I wasn't charging. I was just doing it out the bottom of my heart, AKA pro bono work. And then I ended up creating a business behind it because I got laid off of a job, and I was like, this can't happen to me again, even though I did go back to a job later and I got laid off again. So with that being said, I am very experienced when it comes to the nonprofit world. I'm also a certified grant writer, and I like to talk about not just the wins and the great things, because those are all great, and that is the glamorous stuff that we always see when it comes to a nonprofit. Oh, we're giving out toys and grants and funding and donations and all these great things. But what are we doing to address our pain points, and how are we fixing those pain points and turning them into successes and solutions? So I'm glad that my girl, Dr. Sharon, brought me on, because we're about to be doing some great work collectively. And so I'm here for all of the questions, comments, concerns, and anything else under the sun that you want to talk about that involves nonprofits. Oh, Misha, I'm partnering with Ken. Okay, yes, Misha. Oh, I'm so happy I met you.
Misha's all over everywhere.
I'm trying, Dr. Sharon and Christi. I am
Oh,
trying.
you're not trying. Let's change that. You're doing. You're
yes,
doing.
I'm trying to do this for the kids. So what I'm doing this for the kids. So what I'm all about, giving back to my community. And I have a 13-year-old daughter, and together we're starting the DNR House, which is a
mentorship for entrepreneur youth. So I want to talk to them about starting their businesses now, because I started talking to her and her friends. I'm like, you know what, we need to take this to the masses. And Kenya was talking about children striving together, and I was like, oh my God, I might, be able to help with that financial literacy part, and like, let's get them together. She said, I'm just now putting a program together. This is perfect timing. And when I say I just talked to her about this last week, this is all divine that I'm here listening to you right now. Dr. Sharon knows that I am, in the process of starting the, just getting out there. I need to launch, but I'm so excited. This is my first thing. And so, yeah, I'm just excited. This is letting me know I'm on the right path.
You are. You are. Hey, go and let them tears out. I saw it trying to come out. Let it out.
I'm on the right path. Exactly. Oh my God.
You are. Amen. Okay. All right, Dr. Sharon.
Fantastic. Okay. So first question I've got for you, Christi, is let's say someone's like, I want to start a nonprofit. What's the first thing you say to them?
Why? My first thing I say is why, because your why is very important. And depending on the why, the answer that you give, that what that why is going to let us know if this is for you or if it isn't. Sometimes we want to start nonprofits because we think that it's for us, but sometimes we just need to join forces with another nonprofit that's already doing something like-minded and be that backbone for that nonprofit. You don't always have to start your very own nonprofit. Now, this is not saying don't start your own nonprofit, because of course we want them, but a lot of times people don't know what all comes with starting that nonprofit. Besides, they think they're going to get them donations. They got that 501c3 letter and they ready to get that funding, but it does not always happen like that. Sometimes people don't get funding for years. And sometimes people get funding right away. Everyone's story and journey is different. But the first thing I literally ask is why? Why do you want to start a nonprofit?
Okay. I love it. And then, okay, so we've talked about the why. It's super important because we also want to make sure that your why is in alignment. So that's the like lovey-dovey side. But then there's also the IRS-y side. I like to call IRS the IRS-y. The IRS-y side, because it makes IRS sound a little less negative.
Okay.
Talk about that for like hours. So then there's the IRS-y side, and we want to make sure that you are in alignment with IRS regulations so that you are meeting their compliance standards for having a nonprofit. So not only are Christi and I checking to see that you got that why, that the passion is there, we want to ensure that you're meeting IRS regulations. That is literally why we are the power plug. We want to ensure that you guys are meeting regulations for the state, regulations for the IRS, your personal passion. You're creating a business with a cause or a purpose-driven business. So we want to make that happen. So now we've talked about the why. Now let's talk about, okay, you've got your why. One of my favorite next steps, which it seems so like tiny to a lot of people, but it's talking about the mailing address. Is even as little as that. Do you have any kind of, I have my thoughts on mailing addresses, but what's your preference on a use of a mail address? Do you like people using their personal home address? You like them going and getting a business address? What's your preference?
So to be quite honest, that's a great question, because I get that all the time. And personally, I don't have a preference. This is why. Sometimes, depending on the bank that you go to, of course, if you're putting a PO box or something like that, they won't accept that all the time. So you're using virtual addresses, you're using PO boxes. Of course, you can use that as your home address, as your mailing address, and then your physical address can be considered like a PO box or something, because you don't want your information out there on the internet, because we all know as a nonprofit, your information is public. Someone can Google that information, figure it out, and there, your information is all plastered over. But if you are because the world is a little crazy and things just be happening, I am now, like, again, I don't have a preference, but in the steps of putting everything together and making sure that everything is in the proper places, I would advise that you do have some type of protection around your nonprofit, which means that your physical home address is not out there on the online world, and you do have an address that you can utilize. We do know that you're not going to always have a brick and mortar when you're first starting your nonprofit. So a virtual address that does not look like a PO box, but it looks like it's an actual address, or you go to 15777 Main Street, and it doesn't look like PO box X, Y, and Z. That is the best way to go, because again, it protects you from your address and all the information being out there, but then also the banks will allow you to have your mailing address as, your home address, so you can get all the good stuff, but then you can use that virtual address as your physical address until you get that building or whatever it is that you're moving towards. What is your preference, Dr. Sharon?
I'm 100% with Christi on that. I love, I kind of leave it up to you guys on what your comfort level is. Just know that when we do all the filing for your paperwork, your information is all public. So just like Christi, I also recommend there may be times you have to use your home address, but majority of the time you're going to use a virtual one. And to make sure, exactly like Christi said, that it is not a PO box and that it looks like a full address. I put a link to a great one that I like to use in the chat box. And it looks like a street address you can use. One of the other things, like the banks sometimes require a home address. The other one that you'll run into is for government grants. And when you go get your UEI number, and everyone who has a nonprofit on here today, if you don't have a UEI number, you need to do that today, because it's a very long process. So you'll go to sam.gov and you'll apply. You're going to need a address that's not even that anytime mailbox address works. You'll need to use one that is an actual address. And so that's where you might use your home address. And then you can, once you get the approval, you can always go back in and change it. So
let me say something though, just because I see and I hear a lot of things, and when I'm on social media, I see individuals speaking about certain things that is just not facts. And you want to go in and say what it is, but you don't want to step on toes. If anyone does tell you that you cannot open up a business, a nonprofit with your home address, that is not true. I literally had someone call me last week in a panic saying, they're saying that I can't get my LLC or my nonprofit because I don't have I'm using my home address. I don't know who they were. I don't know who they was, but that is not true. However, again, you do want to protect yourself, because when you are growing to be this $1 million nonprofit corporation in the United States, you don't want nobody pulling up at your house just because they have your address. So you do want to protect it. And that's what goes into keeping a little bit of money aside and having that before you start a nonprofit. Make sure you are investing in certain things that you actually need versus trying to start a nonprofit and you don't have anything, because these all go into the things that you need in addition to paying for all these filing fees and everything else you need for a nonprofit.
I love it. Thank you, Christi. In the chat, I had someone that's asking what an MPIN number is. That has something to do with sam.gov. That one, and BC, I don't know who is your name, BC, or you want to tell me, and I can say you by name. I'm so sorry, but I'll call you BC for now. So with that, more important than that, because that's like a contracting number, you don't need that right now. You'll want to go to sam.gov and apply for your UEI number. And that's where you're more than likely, if you're using a virtual address, you're going to have to use your home address on that one. The UEI can take a while. Approval is crazy. So go do that. And this is our gem we're dropping. If you're a brand new nonprofit, so you just got your 501c3 letter, go get that UEI from sam.gov. That's your government grant number for when you go to apply for grants.gov opportunities. You're going to need that UEI number.
And it's important to do these things. Sorry, Dr. Sharon.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say it's important to do these things now, because a lot of times individuals that start nonprofits, you see a grant you think you're ready for, you want to apply for it, you apply for it, and then you realize all these things you don't even have. So you can't even obtain the money. There may be a waiting process, or they may even pass you by because all of your stuff is not in compliance and you don't have these things. So the UEI number, signing up for SAM.gov, ensuring that you have vendor numbers with like LA County, different school districts. If you're a youth nonprofit, you want to start working on all those things, because when that time comes, there's nothing that's going to stop you from getting whatever it is you're trying to get, or completing those goals for your nonprofit, because you already did the hard work. All they have to say is, do you have this number? And you can say, yes, here you go.
Beautiful. Perfect. I love it. Okay. So, oh, thank you, BC Brandon. All right. So next step, now you've got your why. You're either going to work with Christi and I, or you're going to do it on your own, and you're going to do your state filings. Once you get your state filings, then you go to open up your bank account. Christi, do you run into any weirdness when you're working with nonprofits and them trying to open up bank accounts? I got a funny one. If you got
I
it.
do, but go ahead. You go with yours first.
Okay. So I don't know if a lot of you, when you guys have started nonprofits, if you've run into, you go into the bank, you say, I've got my nonprofit, I need to open up a nonprofit bank account. And the branch manager says, awesome. Is that an LLC or an S Corp or something else? And you're like, none of those, because it's a nonprofit legal entity. It literally cannot be an LLC or an S Corp. So if any of you are getting ready to open up bank accounts, or you're switching banks, your nonprofit is a corporation and you're opening up a business bank account. And if you get a good bank, they'll know what a nonprofit means, and they may waive any kind of fees and stuff for you. And my favorite is, I like to pick banks that have like a branch manager that's cool, because you're going to make the branch manager your bestie. And that's because they have funding opportunities.
I was about to say, they got the money.
Get that money. Those banks like to give out the money too.
But that's funny, because I was going to use that same one. Last week, I had a bank or someone that was opening a bank. Well, Wells Fargo, actually. And I love Wells Fargo. My stuff is with the Wells Fargo. I have a Chase account too. But the bank manager, she said, is that okay, nonprofit? Okay. Is that single member, multi-member? I was like, it's no member. It's a nonprofit. And she's like, oh, I just had to ask. But you would think they would be knowledgeable to know when you say nonprofit, it's not that, because we're not talking about opening up an LLC. Although some banks, I don't know if you've run into this, some banks, because we're a corporation, we're not an S Corp, so we could be like a C Corp just for corporation, that C number is in front. Some banks will have to choose C Corp, but they still have it in the system as a nonprofit. So just make sure you check your paperwork. Check the bankers, because you do not want to have a bank account that is opened incorrectly. And then when money starts flowing through, like the IRS tries to come and get you or something, because your bank account wasn't open correctly. So just make sure you double check as well when you are opening your bank account. I think someone had a question. They raised it.
Let's see. Oh, Flo recommends first, if you're in the Los Angeles area, First Citizens Bank in Watts, the branch manager's awesome. And then I know Wendell has a question. Wendell, go ahead and come off mute. You can ask us. Oh, anybody has a question, just come off mute and just blurt right in.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfect.
Okay, great. So my question is, I did everything wrong the first time. I had this little senior housing community where I was living in, and we wanted to have a community center because we had no indoor facility where we can congregate and just come together. And there was an empty lot. And so I went out there and put in a GoFundMe with no license. And, I did a little barbecue. We raised some money. And, after that, that was it. So all the money went away in fees. So shouldn't I have like zero fees with banking? And what banks, is there a list of banks I can go to where I'm not going to have these fees starting off, because we're trying to save money to get to a certain point until we can get grants and other funding?
Well, that's not actually 100% true when it comes to the fees. It actually depends on the bank. So yes, you are a nonprofit and you are raising funds and you're trying to obtain funding for your nonprofit, but some banks run just like your personal bank runs. If you don't have direct deposit going in there, or you don't keep a certain amount of money in there, then they charge you a fee, whatever that may be, $10, $15, $25, whatever that may be. So when looking for your bank that you want to open up, you want to definitely check on what those fees are, how much money needs to be held in that bank account. And figure out what the lowest fee is for you. Because again, think about it like this, the bank is still going to make money, whether it's a nonprofit or not. So if you are not keeping that specific dollar amount or whatever it is that they want you to keep inside that bank account, or they're not seeing certain transactions coming through, they will charge you. But then you have other banks that will not charge you depending on what those banks are. Dr. Sharon may know which ones don't charge you, but for the ones that I see, especially the bigger banks like the Wells Fargos, the Chases and stuff like that, they will charge you fees, but you may do better with credit unions. Maybe credit unions may be a little bit better with the fees because credit unions are better with that. But you do have to figure out what that balance requirement and all that is when you open those bank accounts.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. One of my favorites, and this is mostly if you're kind of in the California area, but is Comerica. One, I like them. They will waive a lot of the fees. They're only $50 to open up the bank account, which I really love. Otherwise, I do like Chase and things like that, but it's more on the $1,000 to open. So I really like Comerica for that, and that they really treat nonprofits really well, and they have a foundation. But it's very much like you were saying, it's very much bank dependent. So you just got to go in and ask and see what you can sometimes you can kind of negotiate with the branch managers too.
Yeah.
I want them to reduce and waive a lot of fees just because I'm like, no, you're not going to fee me. I'm a nonprofit.
Agreed. Yeah. Did that answer your question, Wendell?
Yes, it did. If I may, I'm trying to establish a nonprofit that is a community land trust. But I don't want my nonprofit specifically to do the building of the affordable housing. So do I need a contractor's license? Because that portion is going to be subbed out.
You do not. If you're not having anything to do with the contracting side of what's going on, you do not need that contractor's license, which is a hellacious process. I actually just did one of those for a client about a couple of months ago, and that was gnarly. But you'll want to make sure that the contractors you go with, that they do have those licenses, that they've got their EIN and their LLC and their setup and their insurance. So if you're going to be partnering with anyone, if you're not doing the contracting, both of you need to be having insurance. So that's another thing that as you're working through this process and you guys get your 501c3, the Nonprofit Insurance Alliance is one of the best places that you can get your general liability insurance. You can always go through a local broker, whoever does your home insurance or your general liability if you've got an LLC. But the Nonprofit Insurance Alliance provides nonprofit insurance, and they know nonprofits. So Wendell, for you, because you're going to be getting into a lot of collaborations, you're going to want to have your own insurance, and then make sure any contractor you partner with has all that bonding and insurance too.
Thank you very much. I know this is a large undertaking, but it's a mess everywhere all over the world. But specifically here in America, when I received this vision to build affordable housing, it was as clear as day. And so now I can't let it go. But I'm realizing that this is a huge undertaking, and I'm going to need a lot of people to make this work successfully. So if y'all can keep me in prayer, I greatly appreciate it. I'm in Kern County, Bakersfield, California. And if anyone would like to join in this movement of building affordable housing, I have it all figured out on how we can make it affordable, and I'll be more than happy to share that with you. And I'll leave my contact information in the chat.
Nice.
Awesome. Thanks, Wendell. And then I know, I think Nisha, you put a question in there. Do you want to go at it first, Christy, and then I'll support you on it?
When can you start acting as a nonprofit legally? After you have your EIN or 501c3? At what point can I launch my capital campaign? So you're legally a nonprofit once you receive your articles of incorporation. That's legally. You're legally a nonprofit legally. That don't mean you can get donations. You are just legally a nonprofit. you are legally able to receive donations once you have your 501c3. But there is a caveat for the state of California. In the state of California, you cannot operate as a nonprofit until you have your state exemption. There's two exemptions that you need. You need the 501c3 because that's how you receive your money. But California wants you to have that state exemption because you want to be exempt in the state of California because that's where you're doing business at. Every state is completely different. So we have to check what the Secretary of State, Franchise Tax Board, Attorney General Office, all that stuff. We have to check what every state wants. But for California, I would advise, do not start doing anything with, you can start working on your campaign, like brain dumping and out, putting it all together. Definitely start on all that. But the saying, can I get money here and a donation there? 501c3 state exemption you want to have. And last but not least, the one thing we always forget about, for some reason, I promise you 70% of nonprofits forget about this. It is your Attorney General documents, your Department of Justice documents. If you have not, the minute you file, rewind. The minute you receive your very first donation, you need to submit that Attorney General form within 30 days. I promise you, you out there on Instagram, you talking about you about to have an event, you talking about you gonna do raffles and raffles cost $5 and this is what you're gonna get to obtain money for your nonprofit. They will send you a letter in the mail and let you know that they can fine you because you did not get approval from the Department of Justice to do raffles. So you see people all the time doing raffles, all that stuff. The reason why I know this is not just because me and Dr. Sharon do this nonprofit thing. That's not it. I was that person. I got that letter. They literally sent me a letter for my event when I was in year 2 doing raffles at a gala. They literally printed out my Eventbrite invitation, highlighted the part where I said I was accepting raffles, and put a nasty letter in there and said, no, you were not supposed to do this, fill out all these documents. So rule of thumb, before starting to actually ask for those donations and all of that, make sure you have all your paperwork compliance-wise together, and then make sure you have all of your tracking mechanisms and systems together. You may not have the funding to start with the CRM right away, but you can create your own Microsoft Excel sheet, write all these names and addresses and emails and dollar amounts that came through until you can get that system built out so you can keep track of what's coming in and you can keep your donor retention, of course. So, Dr. Sharon, go ahead with your takeaway.
Literally, like the most beautiful response ever. And Misha, I'm glad you asked that because that question comes up all the time. Like, when can I start fundraising? The other thing too is, although you can start once you have your, articles of incorporation, you can start soliciting and accepting the donations, but you might run into donors that are uncomfortable donating to you until you have that 501c3 IRS determination. And if you're talking about a capital campaign, Misha, you want to spend the time really outlining how that capital campaign is going to execute. And then once you have your 501c3 letter, boom, execute like crazy. Because then when your donors who are real smart, which donors are getting even more smart now, they go look you up. They want to see you on the IRS website or on GuideStar. We'll talk about GuideStar here in a minute. So you can start once you've got your EIN and you've got the EIN gets you your bank account, so the funds can start going in. But it's going to be really more impactful for you guys to wait till you get that IRS letter, especially because of what Christi mentioned about the state tax exemption and the Attorney General. Because even for those, you need to show that you've got, unless you want to fill out some crazy ass long forms, you really want to show that you've got your federal determination. So there's a couple steps in the process. You can do it, Misha, but we recommend that you wait till you get your state tax exemption and you have your federal 501c3 just to make life easier on you for reporting.
So how long does it take to get the state tax exemption, and then how long does it normally take to get the 501? Because isn't it like a 8 to 9 month process for the 501c3, but how long is it for the state exemption?
It really depends. So it depends on what you qualify for the type of application that we would have to do for you. So on average, it can take about a week or 2 to get you up and running in the state of California. And we apply to the IRS. The IRS is what takes 30 to 180 days. They're wild for that. And then once we've got that, then we work on your state tax exemption and your attorney general. And the state tax exemption and the attorney general, especially if you're in the state of California, other states are a little bit faster, to be honest. But in California, that can take 3 to 4 months. So that's why you really want to take your time putting together your clear programs. Because let me ask you this, Misha, what are you capital campaigning for?
I was gonna ask that as well.
I know, I could tell it was like, you're like, I just need to know.
Right. Well, first I just learned the term, so I love that. I love the term. But it was to pay for the building in my first year of expenses of everything that I have going on. Because I already have a building that I want to put under my nonprofit.
Okay. Have you looked into partnering with people who already have buildings where you can maybe host your nonprofit and the workshops and whatever you're doing there so that you're not campaigning in your first year for a building?
Well, I said building. It's an office, but same thing. I have a creative space under that I have as a business that I want to roll under the nonprofit. So I
Okay.
already have a space.
So my recommendation is going to be to you is that type of capital campaign is going to come in like 3 to 5 years. Right now, what you really want to be focusing on is perfecting your program.
Okay.
Donors are going to, before they even donate to your capital campaign, they want to know your impact data first. So
Okay.
we want to see you operating some programs. And because if you're going to be a nonprofit, you can work with Parks and Rec and get free spaces. You can work with the libraries and get free spaces. You can partner with other nonprofits while you're building up that funding so that you can collect that impact data, perfect your program, and have something to pitch.
Okay. Got
Chris,
it.
what's your thoughts on that?
Misha, I was going to ask you a question. So you said that you have a business already and you want to run the nonprofit there. Is the what kind of business is it? Is it already a business and you want to bring the nonprofit there?
Yes, it's a content space. So it's a space where I can come and hold different, like she said, the workshops and stuff in there. Yeah.
Right. But okay, but that space, is that business like an LLC? Is it
Yes.
what
It's an
is it?
LLC. Yes, it is an LLC.
Okay, so I just want to put this out there. Just make sure you understand the separation between your nonprofit and your LLC, because sometimes people take their LLC and, like you said, they'll house the nonprofit under it because it's a building. But I don't know if you have like a landlord or if you're paying like fees for a lease to like someone or if you own it. But whatever that is, just make sure that you like the money. So let's say, for example, the nonprofit received money, right? So you received $100,000 and you said, I'm getting my rent every month is $1,000. So I'm allocating $1,000 every month to that. So that's $12,000 out of the 100K that you now need to allocate to pay your rent. But your rent for your nonprofit is now paying your LLC because that's who owns that building. It would be your LLC or whatever. You have to make sure that there is a clear separation between the two, so it doesn't look like you're dibbling dabbling into each business, because that's when you get on the IRS chopping block. That's when audits start coming, red flags get raised, all that stuff. So you just want to make sure, again, it's not to say that this is a problem. You just want to make sure that all the proper paperwork, procedures, guidelines, all that stuff is in place so that if any IRS auditor, whoever wanted to question the fact that you have a nonprofit and an LLC and they're commingling in the same building, you have that information to be able to say no, because this is this or this is that. So we could talk offline later about like more of those details, but people are doing that. They got this and now I'm using this to pay the rent and I'm using this to pay that. Because we have nonprofits are becoming trendy. People getting 501c3s like it's candy. The IRS is definitely looking at individuals and making sure that you are doing the right thing by these nonprofits, and not, for lack of better words, commingling or taking money from one thing and putting it into another, because that's what's happening really, really big in the nonprofit industry because we get free money.
Would it be, and this is my last question, would it be more a better, how do I want to say this? Once everything is out there and I have the two entities, to actually just put the lease under the nonprofit instead of having it under the LLC?
Put the nonprofit under the LLC or the LLC under the nonprofit?
No.
Oh,
So the lease for the space, could I
Oh,
just change the lease from the LLC to the nonprofit? Now it's the nonprofit space and not the LLC space.
and then you gonna what, have the LLC come in and rent from the nonprofit?
Yeah. Well, I
That-
don't even need it for a LLC. I just had it there first.
Oh, but if you did, that would be a better situation for you.
Okay. Good to know.
And on top of that too, you may be able to work with that building owner. Hey, I'm a nonprofit. Will you give me a discount on the building where I'm a nonprofit? He can donate a part of that building to you guys. You can do things like, you know, that. So work.
And then he'll be able to write that off.
Yep,
That piece.
because you're a nonprofit.
You just, yep. And you make sure you
And
tell him,
also-
talk to your CPA. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Christi.
yeah, for sure. If you don't have a CPA or you don't know anyone, I'm sure we could recommend one, but I would highly, highly, highly recommend that everyone does get one, little or small amount. I mean, if you're bringing in a little bit of money to the nonprofit starting off, then of course your CPA is not going to charge you an arm and a leg because you're not in the millions and those big dollars yet, but it would be important to do that. But I did want to say, we all want buildings. Promise you, we all want buildings because we want to operate somewhere. But if you could focus on your program, your outcome measures, your impact, all of that stuff first, it is going to help you, and that building is going to come much easier because now you have a reason to show why you need to be in a building versus the other way around, which is you are now needing a building and now you're trying to put a program in there and you may not be able to sustain that building because you don't know what the program's going to do. You know what the program is, you know you need the building because you know what the program is doing. You can see what money is coming in and you know you can afford it. When it's the other way around, you probably write out a budget, you say what you think you want to happen, but you don't know what's going to happen until you finish your first year. So I would say if you don't have a program yet, work on that before trying to obtain a building, unless it's just right there and it's at your reach and you have it, but make sure that that program and everything is tight, because it's going to be better. It's going to be a better look for you and your nonprofit. Go ahead, Michael. Sorry.
No worries at all. I just wanted to jump in. I know that when we're answering these questions, Christi, amazing information. Dr. Sharon, amazing information. We're answering based on what you're telling us. So we know that we always have to understand there may be more information or maybe something we're not asking. Ultimately, before you make decisions in terms of write-offs and how you allocate your business and what you're putting under what, please, go to your attorneys, your CPAs, your accountants. What this is a lunch and learn. So this is for informational purposes only. Please note that this is not tax advice, legal advice at all. We are giving our insight and information that we have based on our experience. There's always a little bit of details in there that we might be missing in terms of your particular situation. So please know that what we're giving you is not consultation advice. What we're doing is giving you information based on our experience. All right. Hope that
And
helps.
that's why, thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. And that's why too, why me, Christi, and Michael, why we emphasize and why we hound on, if you don't even have that 501c3 yet and you're within your first year, doing a capital campaign, Misha, which is why I'm glad you asked, that's going to come 3 to 5 years later. What we really want you focusing on is creating those programs, perfecting your nonprofit programs, creating that impact, creating your case for support, understanding your case for support, being within compliance every single year with the IRS and with the state, and making sure you've got things like GuideStar covered, you've got a financial infrastructure, you've got the impact data, because there's nothing to fundraise for, there's nothing to capital campaign for if you don't have a program and if you don't have anything to show you're impacting people. So I would rather see you raising 50 to 100K so that you can provide like top-notch programming and then going to that next level. Misha, let me go ahead, and then I'm going to get to you, Flo.
And you
And
just
Wendell.
said something very important, because I was in my mind, I keep saying capital.
It's a
capital
capital
campaign,
campaigns are
but I
fun.
was thinking, I was only looking for, up to 50,000. So are those two different things?
It can be, yes. Typically, capital campaigns are 250K to 500K and more, and they are specifically usually for getting a building, building a hospital, doing something that is like massive and on high levels. What you're really looking to do is fundraisers, get major donors, but I want to go back and say, you've got to have that case for support, and even more so for capital campaigns, you got to have the impact and the exact need. So it's a good stepping stone to get there. Listen, capital campaigns are fun. So when you get ready to get to that point, those are fun to do. They're a headache, but they are fun. Flo. And hi, Gantry.
I just wanted to say, if you all did have questions concerning taxes, CPA, different things of that sort, I would be more than happy to assist on that part. If I don't know anything else, I do know taxes as far as for nonprofits and different things of that sort. So if there are those questions that you do have that you want to try to get figured out as you're actually building your organization and putting in place, I will make myself available to the community.
Awesome. Thank you, Flo. Appreciate that. So we've got about 10 minutes.
Wendell has a question too. Sorry, he had his
sorry,
hand up for a
Wendell.
while.
Go ahead. My bad. I'm sorry.
Well, oh, no worries. Thank you so much. So I'm not really trying to dominate the whole thing here. Okay, so I'm also going to build these community centers because we need to make these homes sustainable. And what I've learned is the best way to do that is to offer these people who rent these affordable homes a place where they can go and maybe take a financial peace course and other services to teach them how to save and invest. So part of the goal was these community centers would do a lot of things. They'll double as a cooling center. And my first location is a small lot. And so what we'd like to do is actually build 3 levels because it's a small lot. And the 3rd level, we actually would like to have it serve as office rental space to support any taxes that we may have on the building. But I was also told that I won't have taxes if my business partner is disabled. So I haven't verified the facility of that, but still you're going to have maintenance costs down the road. Everything needs to be sustainable. And that's why I figure, you know, first floor, big open floor plan, stage, you know, for the community. They can have bingo, you know, they can have karaoke, whatever they want to have on that open floor with a commercial kitchen. 2nd floor fitness centers, because this community has seniors that don't have access to stuff like that. There'll be a fitness center for females only. So, you know, yes.
Let me hold you there right there, because I want to get into a couple more questions here. One thing I want you to focus on, because I've seen you here at our lunch and learns a couple times. I love it. One thing I want you to focus on, because you don't have your 501c3 status yet, right?
No.
Okay, number 1, that's what you got to focus on. I put a link to our discovery calls in the chat. Anybody in here that wants to talk to me, Michael, or Christy, go ahead and book on that link and we'll help you guys out. But Wendell, what I need you to focus on is it's going to be a minute before you get to that building level. So you need to pick one thing that once you get your 501c3, you don't answer it today because I want you to think about it, is one thing that you're going to focus on. You've got this big old mission, and this goes for everybody that has a brand new nonprofit and you've got 20 billion things going on. Nope. Pick 1 or 2 things and perfect that program and that process. And it may not be the affordable housing yet. It may not be that content creation center yet. It may be that you're doing a support group, helping individuals find a resource, connecting, you know, someone to financial assistance. It may be raising $5,000 to help pay for an attorney fee for a female or male that's fleeing domestic violence and needs an attorney. I want you guys each on here to pick 1 or 2 things and perfect that program and that process, and then move to the next one while you're in the background, creating your partnerships, leveraging your network, creating that donor mechanism and those donors that you've got there, creating your case for support, perfecting your pitch. That's Michael. Perfect that pitch so you've got a clear ask to funders, donors, sponsors, banks, and all of that so that you know what you've got going on with that organization. We get so excited with our mission and vision, we jump to the end point. We've got an affordable housing unit. We've got a killer content creation space. But don't forget the stuff you got to do before you get there, which is offer one program so that you've got some impact data under your belt. That's what I want everyone on here to focus on. Even for some of the other folks on here that have had nonprofits for a couple of years, we've got some really amazing organizations. Flo and Gantry with transitional housing, Nikia Carter with grief gatherings. We have a lot going on here. Karen with your nonprofit. Perfect that one program, understand the exact budget you have for that program and how much it's going to cost. So when let's say you get on a call with Michael and Michael says, what's your program? How much does it cost? And you're like, I got this program. It costs $15,000. Why does it cost $15,000? And if you can't break down $15,000, we're going to end the conversation right there. Mm-hmm. And I only want to talk about 10, 15, 25, maybe $50,000 budgets, because if we don't even have a 501c3 yet, then we're not at a budget above $50,000, and we need to be focused on one program and that impact. And people like Misha and Wendell, the way you guys want to serve the community and your passion, let me just see you guys just impact a couple of people and just keep getting those next steps, because you can feel your energy. Misha, I mean, Christi and I have known you for years, and Wendell, we're kind of getting to know you, and you can tell how passionate you guys are. I want you to focus on one program and perfect it and go to the next level. Michael.
No, I love exactly what you're saying. I call it the peanut butter and jelly example, where someone says, I want to feed all the homeless in LA, and I want to build this building, and I want to have this and all these things, and it just cost me $1.5 million. Well, what are you doing now? Well, I'm working on finding a building, when you could just simply start by making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, taking water, taking, bottles of water down to, say, a Skid Row or other places. We have to start somewhere. And the great thing about it is we're not at all, not that anybody would think this, we're not at all diminishing the greatness of what you're called to. We're actually lighting the fuse so we can get to that greatness, because the person that says, wow, Misha, so tell me about the program. Awesome. How much is it going to cost? Well, what have you done so far? Well, I put this into it. We did this program. Wendell says, I did this thing, and I've been doing this for the last 6 months. And when they see that you've got skin in the game, just like a startup, they see that you've started somewhere. Then you get the people that write the check. Then you get the people that say, all right, I'm in this. Because for people to just give to a dream that's in your head, maybe it's down on paper, maybe it's kind of functioning, they want to see something done, and it could go so far. So I love that point of just starting small. I do it with my startups. It's the same thing, and it's the same thing in the nonprofit space. All right.
Yeah,
Sharon?
and just to piggyback off of what Michael said, don't feel like, oh my God, I'm going to only do one or two things now. My idea is now shot and I can't ever do it. Like, never think that way, because if you think about it, as a nonprofit, sometimes it's tough out here. You use your own money when you first starting to get the 501c3 and get your state paperwork done and getting consulting and all these different things. You're investing in not only yourself, but you're investing in your community using your own money. That already tells you something right then and there. And then you're starting to do the programs, even if it's on a smaller scale. Don't ever think that you put an invite out for 100 people, 5 people showed up, now you're disappointed. No, because those 5 people needed you. So it's okay that the 5 people showed up, because next time 10, next time 30, hey, it might even go back down to 10. And you like, hey, what happened? Nothing happened. It was raining. Nobody wanted to drive in the rain. That's why they didn't come. It's not anything that you're doing incorrectly or wrong. So just make sure, just like Michael said, just like Dr. Sharon said, you do start somewhere, because we have these big, grand ideas. And I promise you, like, if we keep thinking there, we won't get there, because we're not doing the small work underneath to even put us there. So one program at a time, 2 program at a time, but 1 or 2 dynamic, amazing, exceptional programs versus 17 ideas is much better.
I love it. Okay, and let me leave y'all with this last gem, and this is whether you've got your 501c3 or not. Remember, when you're looking and ready to start your nonprofit, you reach out to Christy, me, or Michael. We'll take care of you guys. You got the power plug right here. But let me leave you with this last gem, whether you've got the 501c3 or not. Everyone, and a few of you on here have heard me say this a bazillion times, write down 100 people that you know. 100. I don't want you to judge who they are, what they do, none of that. Write down 100 people that you know. Then you're going to phone call them, not DM, not text, not email. You're going to phone call them and you're going to ask them and tell them, hey, I'm so-and-so, or hey, it's nice to talk to you. It's been a minute. I've got this nonprofit. We do XYZ. These are some of the things we've got going on. I would love to have you a part of my movement. Maybe you want to be a volunteer. Maybe you want to be a donor, or maybe you want to fundraise $250, $500 on behalf of our nonprofit. Imagine if 50 of those 100 people said yes, and 50 of those 100 people raised $250 each. That's all unrestricted funding for your nonprofit. That can help you start your nonprofit. That can help you pay for initial program costs. Maybe that can help you get some food on the table. 100 people, write them down, you and your board members. Let's go. Okay. Christy, I love you. Thank you. Michael, thank you so much. Ruby, MPP Accounting on the line. Thank you everyone so much for joining us today. It is Wednesday, it's Lunch and Learn. See you next week on Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Come and join us.
Sharon,
We're recording in the university. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Flo.
I just want to say something to everyone out there, especially those that are starting their organization. If you are really ready to build and you want to do it the correct way, I cannot tell you how important it is to be with the MPP. You need Michael, you need Sharon, you need Janine, you need the entire team to really do what needs to be done. And it's time that we start investing in what we believe in or what we feel like our purpose is. And so I just wanted to put that in there. They have been life-changing in our organization. So I just wanted to throw that out there. They're being kind of modest, but you need the entire team in order to win. I promise you, you won't regret it.
I love it. Thank you, Flo. Thank you, Gandry. I see Gandry over there with that big old smile. Thank you, guys. We receive that. Our team works really hard to serve nonprofits, and you got a lot of us on here that want to help you make it win. We will see you all next week. Have a fantastic week and rest of your week. Go ask somebody for some money. Go ask a donor today. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care. Thank you. Great job, Christy.